Hi, Blossom here. I'm going to share an eggless vanilla cake recipe. Now this is not my recipe. It's a recipe taken from another YouTube channel. I'll share the link down below if you would like to see her video as well. So now the search for an eggless cake, I must say, comes to an end here because I've almost tried 25 recipes and I've done many different cake courses and lots of trials and errors and nothing worked out. You know, I always was comparing it to the egg cake or egg vanilla cake texture, and I came across this cake recipe, and to my delight this worked out really well. So I thought, okay, I'll share it with you guys also, because I know many of you might be in search of a good or perfect eggless cake recipe. Don't mind the oven, the timer's going off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take curd. I'm adding 185 grams of yogurt or curd. This doesn't have to be store-bought. It can be from your house as well. The best part of this cake recipe is you don't have to keep anything in room temperature, or it has to be done in different bowls, and you don't need a stand mixer or a machine. It's all done in 2 bowls. Now to this yogurt, I'm putting half teaspoon of baking soda. Now the reason why this baking soda is added here to the curd or yogurt is, you know, to remove the tartness or the sourness of the cake. So when you do this, it will help in the rising of the cake as well, and also that, you know, curd has an aftertaste, so that is taken care of. And as per the recipe that I'm following, she added the sugar over here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to add it to another bowl. I'll show you next. So keep this aside. So now to another microwave safe bowl, you have to add milk, which is 240 grams. And to that, I'm going to add 113 grams of butter, 50 grams of oil, and 300 grams of sugar. Stir that in so that, you know, the sugar doesn't stay on the top. This will get burnt when you melt it. Now this has to be heated till the butter melts. So it depends on the voltage of your microwave. Just for your reference, the butter has to melt and the milk will kind of become hot. So I would suggest you to heat it up for 1 minute first, and then if the butter is not melted, then heat it up for another 30 seconds or so. This can be done on the stove top as well. If in case you don't have a microwave, just pour it into a pan, melt the butter. So I've taken 330 grams of flour. To that I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder, and this I'm going to sieve thrice and keep it separately. So this is the melted butter, oil and milk and sugar mixture. Now keep this aside. This has to be hot. Don't let this cool. Now as you can see, the curd has frothed up and you can see small air bubbles in it. This is how it should be. To this I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoon of vanilla essence. Mix that in. Now the butter that I used, the milk that I used, everything was directly from the fridge. That's why I said you don't need to bring anything to room temperature. Now to this curd mixture, I'm going to pour only half of the hot milk mixture. Mix that in. Half of the sieved flour. This is just normal refined flour. It's not any cake flour or bread flour or anything. Stir it till you stop seeing lots of pockets of flour. Don't overmix it. Pour the rest of the hot milk mixture and the rest of the flour. If you watched my red velvet cake recipe, there you had to be very gentle with the mixing part. Here you can be a little vigorous. It doesn't have to be gentle because there are no eggs to get deflated. But don't overmix, because then the gluten will develop and then the cake will get rubbery. That's why we say don't overmix, don't overmix. There are small lumps of flour, but that's okay. It will get baked. Okay, so now I've prepared 3 6-inch tins. Now you can pour this even in 2 8-inch tins. It's up to you. And it makes a 1 kilo cake which will feed around 8 people. It depends on the slices you cut, so you can even give it to 10. I just tap it to just remove all the air bubbles and put it in a preheated oven that was preheated at 180 degrees Celsius, and I'll reduce the heat to 160 degrees Celsius. Because this is in 6-inch tins, I'll bake it for 20 minutes. If it was in 8-inch tins, I would have baked it for 30 minutes. The cake is ready and I've put a skewer in and it's come out clean. So I let the cake cool in the tin for 5 minutes. That's why it's still hot. This is how soft the cake is. It's really soft, delicate. This is an excellent recipe. Please do try this recipe and let me know how it turned out when you made it in the comments below. Until next time, bye.